Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I hope you perhaps attended Deep Dive before. I'm Margaret Holm, a board member with First Things First Okanagan. We're a nonprofit volunteer climate action organization. And tonight, as usual, I'm joined by fellow board members Lori Goldman, who is manning the Zoom controls, and Sue Kirschman, who will be introducing tonight's speaker. So Deep Dive is a monthly online webinar, and we try to explore different perspectives on climate solutions for our communities. So tonight we're very excited to be seeing a model of something that might work here in southern BC. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we come to you from the traditional unceded territories of the Syilx and Similkameen nations. This month, I'd like to highlight the environmental and climate reporting of Indigenews. If you haven't heard of it, it's a digital magazine delivered to your inbox once a week. I like it because quite a bit of the reporting is from BC's southern interior and quite a bit also from the Okanagan Valley. Indigenews is an independent, Indigenous-run newsroom committed to decolonizing journalism and amplifying Indigenous voices and perspectives. And as you can imagine, there are quite a few stories that report on the intersection between Indigenous issues, the climate, and environment. So please check it out and consider supporting Indigenews with a monthly donation. We'll put the link to it in chat. So now I'll turn things over to Sue Kirschman to introduce tonight's topic and speaker.
Thank you, Margaret, and hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Deep Dive. I wanted to start by showing you this graph. I don't know if Lori's able to bring it up. It just shows how much sunshine the Okanagan has. And we do have abundant sunshine, so we are well suited for solar installations. The cost of solar has been coming down, and you probably noticed that more and more homes and businesses are putting solar panels on their roofs. Our area is also quite windy, especially during the winter months. And Laura, you can take that graph down now, thanks. So this makes us a good location for wind power generation too. As well as being emissions free, the beauty of solar and wind is that they lower the load on our electric grid, and this helps to preserve our hydro resources. The waters that are held behind BC's dams are basically large storage batteries, and the water can be held when the sun is shining or wind is blowing, or it can be released to generate electricity when it is calm or cloudy or at night. Tonight, our guest speaker, Don Pettit, is going to share his exciting story about the Peace Energy Renewable Energy Co-op, the first of its kind in Western Canada. Don is a founding member and is its executive director. He's widely published energy journalist and a public speaker on climate change and sustainable energy. And before Don begins, just a couple of housekeeping items. As Margaret mentioned, Lori will be sending out a video of the presentation from tonight, and it will have any links that come up during the discussion. So you don't need to copy down information or save the chat. While Don is talking, if you think of any questions, please type them into the chat and we will pose them to him after he's done. Also, please make sure your audio is turned off just to prevent any background noise. I first learned about the Peace Energy Co-op quite a few years ago, and I'm excited to finally meet you, Don, and I'm looking forward to your talk. And even if the graphics don't work completely, it doesn't matter. It'll be great. Okay. So I'll turn it over to you now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'll hit share and just see what happens. You never know, it might work. I'll hit share. And then pick this screen, I guess.
That's good. We see your small. There you go. Perfect.
Perfect.
Got it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. We do have the technology.
We do. We're so smart.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, Let's make sure this is working. Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, yes, I'm the executive director of Peace Energy Cooperative, and I was one of the founding members long, long ago, some 21 years ago when we set it up. I'll just launch right into this PowerPoint, and we'll go through some of the history of our cooperative and some of the projects we've worked on in the past and some of the projects we're working on right now. So we were Western Canada's first renewable energy investment cooperative and the second in Canada overall. We were incorporated in 2003. So we're an investment cooperative. That means we sort of try to develop renewable energy projects and give our members an opportunity to invest in them. We now have just over 680 members all across Canada, mostly around Northeast BC and Northwest Alberta. So we're also one of the most experienced solar design, supply, and install companies in our main service area, which is Northeast BC and Northwest Alberta. So we have our cooperative values that we cling to, and that's people and community before profit. But certainly profit's important. We run, it's a business. Our cooperative is a business. So we must pay dividends to our member investors, and we must pay wages and overhead. And of course, renewable energy must make financial sense, or it just doesn't work. We also have, of course, a really strong environmental ethic. The shift to renewables is critically important to protect the natural world and improve the human condition, no question. So this is our first project. When we formed, this is what was happening around the Northeast BC. We were having sort of what we call a wind rush. There were hundreds of wind developers from all over the world landing in our area and snapping up all the good wind sites. And that's right when we were on the verge of starting the co-op. So we said, okay, we better start this co-op right away and grab one of these ridges and see what we can do with it. So we did. And we did get this ridge, Bear Mountain Ridge, it's called. It's right near Dawson Creek. And we thought it would be a really good wind area, and it certainly proved to be superb. So this is the creation of what we call Bear Mountain Wind Park. This was the first commercial wind facility in British Columbia. We started the project. We brought all the partners together who built it. We worked on it for 6 years, and Peace Energy continues to receive income from this project. You can see it's 34 intercon turbines. These are German-built, extremely efficient direct drive turbines, totaling 102 megawatts, enough to power 35,000 homes. The partners, I guess you would say, were Peace Energy Co-op, Aeolus Wind Power, which is out of Lower Mainland, and AltaGas. It was commissioned in 2009. And as I say, we still receive income under a 25 royalty agreement from this facility. These are the early days when we were starting to promote this wind industry, wind technology, I guess you'd say, because, way back then, I don't think anybody around here had ever seen a wind turbine. So we had a lot of education to do locally, and we felt it was certainly our responsibility to do so. And at the same time, we were building up our cooperative, getting more and more members so that we would be positioned somewhere along the line to invest in this project. So we attended trade fairs. We held some 30 public meetings, like the one you see in the lower left, and educational seminars on wind industry while we were building up our membership. So eventually, yeah, we got the go-ahead and the 2-year environmental assessment, by the way, before we could break ground. And we thought it was really an appropriate level of investigation. It was a wonderful environmental assessment program. So anyway, here's some pictures of it being built. You can see up in the upper left there, those are the towers being brought in special trucks. The towers were manufactured in Saskatchewan. The blades on the right-hand side came in by rail, well, first by boat from Germany, and then by rail across Canada to Dawson Creek. And you see on the lower left some of the foundations being poured with local contractors doing most of the work. And the scale of these things was just a little impressive. You can see in the upper right corner there, person waving from the top of one of the turbines, just to give you a sense of scale. Excuse me. And some of the largest cranes in the world are used to assemble these massive structures. You can see the ridge with the turbines in place and some of the blades just being put on. And on the right-hand side, one of the big cranes lifting the pieces into place. And here we have the first couple of turbines with their blades on them starting to spin. And in the back there, more being put on. And on the right-hand side, the finished facility as it looks today. And here's the little Dawson Creek population 11,000, 12,000, something like that. And along the ridge there is the wind farm. And the electrons from that wind farm, of course, go to the nearest load, as they say. And so the nearest load happens to be Dawson Creek. So Dawson Creek became BC's first wind-powered city. And just so you know, there's enough power generated from Bear Mountain Wind to power 5 or 6 Dawson Creeks. So the rest of the power heads out across the landscape and ends up heading south. Wherever there's a load that's needed, this power flows to that load. This is another project we worked on shortly after that. We had the idea that what's needed was a demonstration house that would demonstrate wind power, solar power, energy efficiency, high R values, geothermal heating, water collection, everything we could think of. And we proposed it to our local college, Northern Lights College in Dawson Creek. It has campuses all across the north, but the main campus is in Dawson Creek. So you see the little picture up on the left, that's what we proposed that they put on their campus. And then we would move our office there and we would give demonstrations and classes on renewable energy. Well, they liked the idea a lot, but they kind of took it over. And next thing we knew, they were installing, instead of a $500,000 demonstration house, they were installing an $8 million LEED certified facility, which you see on the main picture there along the bottom, which is now in place. And there's a very successful wind turbine maintenance program run out of that, and a bunch of other programs relating to renewable energy. It's a wonderful, amazing building with some solar electricity, geothermal heating, and super insulation, water collection. Just about everything you can think of is incorporated into this building to demonstrate how renewable energy can be used and then taught as well. So that was a nice little project. We sort of had quite a bit to do with. Now, as the cost of solar, as you were just seeing, I think has fallen, we began to think, oh, well, let's add a business onto our co-op, and it would be a solar design, supply, and installation business, because now solar was becoming so affordable and available, and the quality was really quite superb. So we thought, okay, let's get into that business. So now we've installed well over 1 million watts of solar in the Peace region, and that's the Alberta and BC Peace region. And we're pretty well the most experienced in the region now. Mostly for homeowners, ranches, farms, some rooftop, some ground mount. You see in the middle there on the upper center, that's our net zero office in Dawson Creek. We put on that nice little 5 kilowatt grid tied array 9 years ago now, and we haven't paid 1 cent for electricity ever since. It's simple grid tied electricity, which means you just generate all your own power, so you don't have to pay for it. There's a few other of our installations. Literally, we've done hundreds of these, but these are just some examples. You can see a solar pergola there in the upper left. Those are really cool. The note, the one on the lower left-hand side, that solar array is facing due west, and it's a net zero building nonetheless. So your roof doesn't have to face true south. We do a lot of east or west, and south facing. And on the one on the lower right there, you can see somebody who put up a big shop on his roof, but we also put it all along the wall, and he gets excellent production there in the winter as well. Then we got into some big solar. This came our way, Hudson's Hope. That's a little town, about an hour and a half drive west of Dawson Creek into the Rocky Mountains. Um, it's a nice little, beautiful little community on the Peace River in a beautiful valley. And they approached us though and said they would like us to help them get a federal gas tax grant for solarizing as many of their municipal buildings as they could. So they asked us to come in and we did an assessment of many of their municipal buildings and we get a rough idea of how much solar some of them would take and give them some idea of how much money to ask for. So we came up with a $1.335 million ask and help them apply some of the wordage and some of the technical information that was needed for the application. And by golly, if they didn't get it. So then that went to RFP. And we were fortunate enough to win the successful bid. So we started into it one summer. These are some of the kids, local, actually high school students that we hired for the summer. We gave them some tickets and got them all lined up for working on roofs, and we taught them how to install solar. And these are some of the arrays that we ended up doing. District Public Works shop on the left has a 92 kilowatt array, which makes it electrically net zero, which again means that they'll never have to pay electricity bills for as long as the solar panels last, which is, 30 or 40 years. Hudson's Hope Arena on the right has 52% net zero. We could have put more on there, but BC Hydro has a limit at that time anyway, and they still have limits as to how much solar you can put on any given roof or any given set of electrical meters. And so we just maxed out that roof but we would have loved to put more on it and make it truly net zero, 100% net zero, but BC Hydro wouldn't let us. This is a large ground mount for what we did for Hudson's Hope. This is their sewage treatment lagoons, and it is 100% net zero. In fact, this array makes more power than the lagoons need, and we've managed to figure out a way, talking BC Hydro into using some of that extra electricity they don't actually need to power their street lightings in town. So they managed to use all of the power this generates by distributing the loads to other loads in the town. This is the one we're most proud of. It's we call it the solar wave. Hudson's Hope has this beautiful outdoor heated swimming pool. It's solar heated and it's also solar electrified. And so we did the electrical part. And we thought, okay, it's a swimming pool. Let's put up something that's a little different. Instead of just hiding some solar panels up on a roof, let's make it into a sculpture. So we put this up, and this proved to be quite a popular tourist attraction, actually. And it's doing really well. It's in perfect condition. I was there just a couple of days ago and checked it out, and it's working just beautifully. And it powers, of course, the pumps and filters, etc., for the outdoor pool. And of course, while we were there, as local hiring is a priority. We trained up their staff to help us monitor the situation, the arrays, and let us know if there's any situations that arise. And on the right-hand side, there's the students we hired to help us out from Hudson's Hope. And we taught some classes in the high school as well. And then, of course, when all the arrays were finished, we had a big party, and a lot of media showed up, and a lot of politicians, and we did an official ribbon cutting because it's about community too. This is a small community, and I'm sure they were very curious as to what we were doing on all the roofs, all the municipal buildings. So we had several information sessions, and then this big event, which had more PowerPoints and more explanations of what's going on, and a big screen where they could see the real-time production of the arrays, how much power they're making at any given moment. And this has turned out to be very successful. We still have, Peace Energy has the operation and maintenance contract for these arrays, so we monitor them remotely from Dawson Creek and can identify any problems that come up, and then we go out there and fix them. And it's never cost them much to keep them going, but it takes a little bit. But nonetheless, they saved over $450,000 since they were put up in 2018. They saved almost $500,000 on electrical bill. So they're happy, and they're kind of proud too. The people are. They're sort of the most solarized per capita community pretty well in Canada, I think. Population 1,100, and that's a lot of solar they put up. So that's our largest municipal project to date. In fact, this stands still as the largest municipal solar installation in BC, which in a way isn't really saying much about BC, because you'd think, some of the bigger cities would have more than this, but actually they don't. So this still stands as the largest. So now I'll just get into our most recent project that we're still working on. This is the Peace River Energy Project, we call it. We've been working on it for over 4 years now. It's essentially fully shovel ready, this project. But we had intended to offer this project as an investment opportunity for our members, right? We're an investment cooperative. And if that could have come to pass, and I'll get into why maybe it's not going to happen in a second, but it would have made this Western Canada's first community-owned and operated solar farm. But there have been many, many roadblocks put up in our way on this one. It's really took us by surprise, making it very difficult for us to capitalize this project and build it. For instance, you might remember the 7-month moratorium on renewable energy projects that the province of Alberta put into place. Well, we were 1 week, or maybe 2 weeks from final approval and starting construction when that came on. So the timing couldn't have been worse. We lost a lot of our investors. The whole thing was put on hold. And things lose value when they're not built on time and on schedule. And ever since, it's been, there's new regulatory things have come up in Alberta. Even some federal things have come up that limit how much capital we can raise and how we can do it. Anyway, we've been struggling with what to do with this thing in the last little while. And we've made a difficult decision to actually prepare the project for sale and see if we can bring in a more experienced and better capitalized project developer. So you can see here that it's in Alberta, just near the town of Peace River, and it's we have a 25-year lease on the pasture land. It was very low grade. We made a point of buying very low grade agricultural land. 5 megawatts peak, about $11 million to build it. It would be running for at least 25 years. And we were thinking of it as a template for community scale of solar farms that we could then reproduce across the province. But that's when the province, all this was conceived when the province was NDP. Not to get into the politics here, but I must say the NDP had sort of a golden path laid out before us that got us really excited and got us rolling on this. But when the Conservative government came in, all of that was canceled overnight. And then next thing we knew, they were making it very, very difficult for us to do this. So, big story. Here's a little overview of the project. This was so exciting designing all this and getting it ready to go. You can see the PV array, though the panels actually rotate left, east, west to track the sun. And there were single access trackers. And here's roughly, this is actually in Ontario, but it's almost identical to what we were planning on building. About 37 acres, 12,000 solar modules tracking east-west. But it's almost identical to what we were planning on doing. And we had a very aggressive agrivoltaics program to go with this. The rich farming community, the Peace River, Alberta area, a very rich agricultural area. And so we had a sheep farm ready to let sheep graze within the enclosure. We had a beekeeper wanting to put hives in there or near there. And then we were going to plant it in both grazing grass and flowering plantings for the bees. And we have a whole plan for agrivoltaics to combine sustainable agriculture with sustainable energy, which is something perhaps most of you know is really taking off around the world now. It just makes such sense. But anyway, whatever our path forward on this project, it just shows that, almost anything like is possible if you persist. This is ready to build, right? It's just the money that's missing. And everything else, which took almost 4 years to do, is ready. So we have all our approvals are approved, all of the studies are complete, all the planning is in place. But so what the future holds right now, we're not sure with this project. We have an interested buyer, but who knows? But at least we know that the project does stand as really an achievement, and I think it probably will get built since it's just so shovel ready. But we need the capitalization, and that's been the problem. So wish us luck on that one. So that's my presentation basically, except I want to talk to you about becoming a member. Of course, I want to invite all of you to become Peace Energy Cooperative members. It's just a $100 one-time investment, and you are actually investing in the co-op. You get a lifetime membership, a lovely frameable certificate, and by the way, 2 people can join as one for the same $100. You have a membership share in the cooperative, which could reap benefits in the future. Then you will have the opportunity as a member to invest in any future projects we may come up with. You have, of course, an equal vote with all other members. You have opportunities to serve. We do some pretty cool stuff, and we have a great board, all volunteer, but great people, very keen on what we're doing. And they're scattered all over Western Canada because our board meetings now are all Zoom, of course. We have some locals, but we also have people from Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton as well, and the town of Peace River, who serve on our board. And we do writings, and you receive some of this information and updates on what's going on, what we're doing, and what's happening around the world in renewable energy. So it makes a cool gift too. So we have a surprising number of members who buy gift certificates for their kids and things like that. So anyway, that's my presentation. So I would welcome any questions that you might have at this time, and I'll see what I can do to answer them.
Don, you have us all salivating with your vision of what you've accomplished in the Peace area. It's wonderful to see. But one big question we have before we go into some of the very specific questions people have is just to give us a picture of the necessary people, the expertise, and the money that's necessary for a co-op. And some of you said this is an investment cooperative. What are if it's all raised through that cooperative, are you getting, corporate investors that are investing millions? So if we could hear a little bit about you and your team, what expertise you have, and how that money is raised, that would be great.
Okay, that's about 7 questions.
But it's sort of it all relates to the sort of nitty-gritty spreadsheet part of your work, which I think we need to hear. Thanks.
Sure. Well, it doesn't cost much to start a cooperative. Just start it up. I don't recall how much it cost. I will mention that there's an organization called Cooperatives First. And if you just Google Cooperatives First, it's a Canadian organization that dedicates itself to helping people start cooperatives. And they literally take you through step by step the whole process. And they've got videos and pamphlets and brochures. on how to do what we did. Back when we did it 21 years ago, there was no such thing. We had to figure it all out from scratch. And as I say, we were the first renewable energy investment cooperative in Western Canada. So we had a lot to learn, and it was really quite difficult. But now it's actually quite easy. There's lots of materials to guide you through that process. And what expertise do you need? Well, we're just a little bit of everything. I'm a photographer by trade. Who else is on our board? We have a retired municipal bureaucrat. We have a lawyer in Vancouver who helps us out. So a couple of financial people who help us out, like an accountant, and we have what else? A school teacher.
And you are, I mean, but you must be raising millions, tens of millions of dollars, and just give us some sense of how that's done by your cooperative.
Well,
Just so we can,
we're not raising tens of millions of dollars.
okay.
That's why we can't build Peace River Energy Project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are restrictions on cooperative, the ability of cooperatives to raise capital from their members, and these are new restrictions. Right? When we built Bear Mountain Wind Park, we built up our membership to about 350 people. We gave them the opportunity to invest in this project. That was Bear Mountain Wind Park. We raised, I don't know, about $500,000 and put it into that project, and that gave us our little royalty payment that we now receive every year from that project. That royalty payment is based on the energy production of the facility. And it's been very consistent, but that's just something that comes in every year because of the work we did early on and because of the investment that we put into that our members put into it. That's how, that's the model of a renewable energy investment cooperative, where we develop a project to the point where it's, say, shovel ready, and then when we go to build, we then go to our members and say, okay, time to invest if you want to, and we think we might get 3, 5, 8% we'd have all those numbers worked out as best as we can. People then buy shares and invest, and we invest that money into the project and then give them a return on their investment as the project begins to make profit. That's the model, but we've only done it once successfully, and that was with our original Bear Mountain Wind Park. Since then, more and more regulations have come into place to make that whole idea very difficult. And it seems to be it's complex. I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a photographer, but it has to do with limits that have been placed on corporate shareholders as to how much money they can invest or how much money a regular corporation, can raise from their investors. There seems to be limits, and that seem to apply in some odd way specifically to cooperatives. Like, we thought we could raise capital from all of our members for this Bear Mountain, for the Peace River Energy Project, the solar farm. And we found out when we went to do it that there was a new regulation that limits the number of people we can raise money from at 150. And we had almost 700 members. So we couldn't raise anywhere near the capital we would need to build that solar farm from 150 members. And that just was sort of revealed to us as a new regulation right when we were about to start raising capital. So, okay. The way that it's supposed to work is the way it works in Europe. We based our cooperative model on the European model of investment cooperatives. In Europe, they've been around for almost 40 years now, going on 50. Renewable energy investment cooperatives are everywhere across Europe. There are literally thousands of them. and they are all networked together. Their members, there are hundreds of thousands of members on billions of dollars worth of renewable energy infrastructure, and they receive income from that infrastructure as co-op members. That's the model we want to see happen in Canada. That's the model we thought could happen in Canada. And when we first built our co-op, that's how it did work. Since then, things have gotten tighter and tighter and tighter with cooperatives. And so now there's about 30 renewable energy cooperatives across Canada now. We're all trying to band together and lobby the government and try to get this changed. But it's a big job, and it's extremely complex as to how to change something like that. So we can get closer to the European model, where we could have 5,000 members, raise millions of dollars, build renewable energy infrastructure, and all of our member investors would reap the benefits. Now, and as I say, the way it sits now, I'm sorry, but that's not quite possible. So, the way we operate from day to day is with our solar business. We have 2 full-time employees and 3 subcontractors that we pay to build our solar installations for homes, ranches, municipalities, etc. And that generates profit that we then invest in new projects for our members and for our overhead and wages. So that's how we're generating money right now, is with our internal solar business. And we thought we could raise a lot of money from our members for nice big renewable energy projects, but it's just not working out that way. So that's been our experience. Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. Now we have another question about net metering, and we're wondering what relationship do you have to the local power companies to either, to fit into their flow? Do you pay a certain rate? And are you using storage batteries at all in any of these facilities?
No, we don't use storage. Well, okay. First, I'll explain how grid tie works. All right. So BC Hydro, we're on the BC Hydro grid. Most of BC is. So BC Hydro has what's called it used to be called their net metering program. What's it called now? They just changed the name a few months ago to something else, but it's the same thing. It's a net metering program. That means that you put a solar array on your roof and you plug it into your power panel in your home, then that solar array will power all of your loads in your home first. And then if it's generating more power than your home needs, that extra power is automatically fed into the grid. Basically, I guess you'd say that it makes your meter run backwards. Every home in British Columbia and every business, all the electrical meters in the province now are what are called smart meters, but that's good because they're solar ready. In other words, they will measure not just power coming out of the grid and into your home, but also power that you generate and feed into the grid. So that, and all just happens automatically. You don't have to do anything except to put the solar array up and connect it into your power panel in your home like any other electrical source would be. And the rest just takes care of itself. So what we do at Peace Energy, we try to design a solar array for, say, your home. We look at your electrical bills, figure out how much energy you use every year, just from your electrical bills in kilowatt hours. You can look at it yourself, but we can add them all up for a year and say, okay, you need this many kilowatt hours per year of solar to eliminate your electrical bills completely if you so choose. Right? Some people put up smaller ones because they can't afford all of that, and you can always add more later. But we always say, okay, here's a net zero solar array for you if you'd like to go that way. And if you do, then your electrical bills will disappear for the next, well, the warranties on the solar panels and the equipment are usually 25 years. And beyond that, my solar array on my home, my personal solar array on my home is over 37 years old, and it's doing just fine. Thank you very much. So we expect these arrays to last a very, very long time. with very, very little maintenance. I've had no maintenance on my personal solar array at home. I was one of those early adopters, right? So, but that's how the net zero program works with BC Hydro. You don't need any, like you have to, it has to be an inspected, properly installed electrical system, your solar array. But the net metering system that BC Hydro has is very slick, very easy. It's like a 2-page document online that we can help you fill out, and then you're ready to go. With a proper electrical inspection, they see the inspection, you have to send it to them, approved electrically, and then you can turn it on and you can feed power into the grid. It's very simple and very straightforward. That's why we do 99% grid tie, simple grid tie. You want batteries? Sure. We've done some off-grid systems where people are not connected to BC Hydro. They've got their solar, they've got their inverters, they've got all the equipment they need, and a battery bank to store the energy when the sun's not shining. So that's the only time we've been installing batteries so far. Now, BC Hydro does have a grant right now, which you should know about. There's several grants. BC Hydro will give you a rebate of $5,000 for your home solar array, up to $5,000. They'll give you, if it's a business solar array on a business, it's up to $10,000, I believe, right now. And they also have a $5,000 grant for batteries. I'm not sorry, not a grant, a rebate. In other words, you buy the equipment, you install it, and then you apply and you get that grant money back. And we help, Peace Energy, we help people do that as well. People will come in and say, I've heard about the grant. I would like an array and use up as much of that 5,000 as I can. And then we'll design a system that will then get them that $5,000 back. And we haven't had anybody come in yet and ask for batteries. The lithium batteries are still expensive. They're superb batteries. The prices are coming down for batteries. Quality and ease of use is going up. So it's like a market for us that we really haven't tapped into much yet. And we haven't had much request for it. Most people seem to be quite happy to put an array on the roof and feed the power into the grid and get their electrical bills either way down or to zero.
Thanks, Don.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
we've got a lot of questions, but I'm going to first of all ask the questions that are about the co-op itself,
Okay.
rather than there's some general questions about, how to put solar on a flat roof and that sort of thing. But just to get your expertise on the co-op, you were talking about some constraints that there are currently on cooperatives. Stephanie has asked, would you say that the type of co-op you've started now really could not be started elsewhere because of the current constraints? The model, it sounds like, is not working as well as it could. What's your opinion on whether we could take this model and replicate it, say, here in southern BC? Is it still, with the constraints you've mentioned, still worth attempting?
It depends what you want to do. What do you want to do with the co-op? That's the first thing you got to figure out.
Right.
If you want to just do small solar arrays and maybe it gets a little complicated, but you can raise modest amounts of money from the way the system works now, from your membership, or from other outside investors as well. Modest amounts to do, say, I showed you some of those arrays in Hudson's Hope, those big municipal arrays up on those roofs. It would be possible for a co-op to raise enough money from their members and from other outside investors to build something like that. They put it on a local arena and feed that power into the grid and actually have an agreement. This is called behind the meter solar instead of like our big solar farm was like in front of the meter. In other words, we're pumping it right into the grid to make money on the grid, right? Which you can do in Alberta, you can't do in BC.
Okay.
That's why we put it in Alberta. But now we found out, as I tried to explain, Alberta hasn't become the place we thought it was going to be for solar. Um, but you can do that behind the meter, say on an arena roof. Then you can, you know, make an arrangement with the arena owner, whether it's the city or whatever, and maybe you'll rent the roof space from them, and then you'll make whatever money would be generated by pumping that power into the grid. They'll reduce their overhead by they'll be renting their roof. Maybe they'll get a percentage of the electricity that you put in, etc. There's various ways of doing that um, to make money for your co-op and for your co-op members. That's called behind the meter um, solar instead of in front of the meters. Behind the meter is much simpler. It's really just a big grid tied system like you put on your roof or like we put on the municipal buildings in Hudson's Hope. It's pretty straightforward, and it's possible to make small amounts of money doing that
Or
for your
or a
co-op.
behind the scenes co-op or behind the grid co-op. What for people that are considering rooftop solar for their homes, what now is the payback period for someone to invest in solar for their own home?
Again, it depends on it depends on a bunch of things. How much solar you put up. The more you put up, the faster it pays back. Um, but okay, the actual payback, it depends on the size of the array, whether or not you get the BC Hydro grant or rebate and other factors. But it can be anywhere from 8 to 15 years. But that's not how we like to think about it, okay? We think of it as an investment in your home. All right. So say it costs you $20,000 to put up a nice big solar array that will get rid of pretty well all of your electricity. Okay, so now you're not paying very much for electricity. In fact, maybe you're paying nothing. So you look at and see how much money you're saving every year on electricity versus how much money you just invested in that system. And when you work those numbers, it looks like you're getting anywhere from a 4 to 8% return on your investment. And that's locked in for 25 years at least. And as the price of electricity goes up, that return improves over time. So if you look at it as an investment, it's a little bit different than thinking of it as well, when do I break even? Well, I don't know. I don't even think that matters. I think when you turn it on, you start making a good return on that investment. You're reducing your carbon footprint. You're like because you're using the power right at home, right where you need it. So there's no transmission losses or anything. Um, and you're doing a little bit for the environment at the same time that you're creating a pretty good return on that initial investment, right? You pave your driveway, it doesn't return you anything really until you sell the home. And that's also true for solar. When you sell your home, it increases the value of your home because now you have a home that has very low or zero electrical bills. That can be a value to many people.
That's a wonderful analysis you've done and something for us to remember and to consider in terms of it's more than just the one-time investment in one thing. It's a
Exactly.
great analogy too with paving your driveway.
Yeah.
You've talked about the durability of solar panels in this day and age. What about the wind turbines now that they've been up for a while? Have they been fairly maintenance free? There's a question. Lori has a question about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. They've done very well, extremely well. Um, there is maintenance to wind turbines, like that 34 wind turbines at Bear Mountain Wind Park. There's two crews. There's an administrator manager who monitors all of the wind turbines in real time from an office in Dawson Creek, keeps an eye on everything. And that same person deploys repair crews. So there's one crew that's sort of mechanical and another crew that's electrical. And I think there's three people in each of those crews. So to run and maintain Bear Mountain Wind Park, it takes 7 people to keep it running. So those are good, high-paying jobs, in a very um, low environmental, like a low pollution environment. Let's put it that way. Um, but yeah, no, performance has been superb. Um, they're just regular maintenance from day to day. Um, no big issues have arisen. Um, I can see the wind turbines from my home in Dawson Creek, and you see occasionally one of them goes down. It's just not working for a while. It's just sitting there, not spinning. Maybe even one or two of them. But then a couple of days later, they're up and running again. Um, so overall, the production has been exactly as anticipated, and in fact, better than anticipated. And the returns for all of the investors has been very, very good. Now they have a 25-year warranty, the turbines, and so that's coming up in about another 11 years or so. And we'll see. At Bear Mountain Wind, it's a very high quality wind area, meaning high quality wind means it blows steady and strong a lot of the time, but doesn't have like hurricane force winds that are really hard on wind turbines. And that's pretty well true of the entire Peace region. This is the area I know best. I'm sure you've got good wind down there too. But in this region, we're considered to be one of the best wind regions in the world. We have got about 500 megawatts of wind. Another 300 megawatts have just been approved. So we're going to see a bit of an uptake now in wind again here. And it's because we have this high quality wind. It's not hard on wind turbines and blades and things. It's actually just good, solid, strong wind, which is ideal for generating power for low maintenance. I think maybe that answers that question.
I think it does. Thank you.
Okay.
For a project like Bear Mountain, does it become its own business, or does the co-op pay for those 7 workers? And perhaps you could give us an idea of how big your technical staff is, the people that go out and fix things and install things. Thank you.
You mean for at our co-op?
Yes, well, yes, or is it kind of a separate business that is managed separately? I guess we're just
Yeah.
trying to get an idea of your business structure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you bet. Yeah, Bear Mountain Wind Park, we do not own it at all. That was a $200 million project. We did not have that kind of money by any means. But that's why we went for this royalty agreement as one of the partners who built it, or who made it happen, I guess you'd say. Um, so we have a royalty agreement based on how much power it produces every year. We get a percentage in dollars and cents of that. In the co-op, like all of the solar we do all that internally. We have just 2 employees full time. We have one, Greg Dewick, he's our solar designer and salesperson. And we have Tammy Lawrence. She's our office administrator that keeps everything functioning, and she does all the the co-op membership interactions and services for our, almost 700 members. Um, and beyond that, we have one contractor, electrical contractor, who has a small crew who does all of our solar installations. That crew is based in Dawson Creek. He does all of the solar installations for all of our solar work. I'm a contractor. I'm the executive director in charge of marketing and communications. I'm a contractor. I get paid by the hour on I invoice the co-op for my time. And that's about it. Other than that, it's contractors. Like we had to hire to do the solar farm, the Alberta Peace River Energy Project in Alberta. We hired a consultant out of Calgary who's been working with us on that project and other projects as well. But he's a solar consultant who he's a wonderful project manager. we'd be lost without him. Like the big projects, he helps us pull them all together and make them happen. And we just pay him a monthly fee as a contractor. That's about it for our business. The
As a
solar is the key that keeps us running. The solar business that's within our cooperative that keeps us running.
As a co-op, then, do you offer a more reasonable price for, say, members that are getting solar installed, or are you about the same as a for-profit solar installation company?
Well, I think we're pretty just competitive. We don't give breaks to our members particularly. Um, it's not a huge markup in solar. Like we make a profit, but we don't make a lot of profit. We're close to hiring two more people, one for marketing and communications, who will be helping working with me, and one for solar sales and design. I'll be working with Greg. So we then have two solar design sales and design people, solar design and sales people, and two people kind of doing what I'm doing, which is talking it up and making presentations and doing website work and all that kind of thing. That should probably double our solar business and make it significantly more profitable. So it's like any business. We're just running it like any small business. You've got to make a good profit. Members, yeah, members don't get they get they get advice, so we'll have a lot of members dropping in and asking about solar, or they'll call us and ask us, I've got a squirrel into my solar array, what do I do? And we'll go out there and we'll help them out and put up a special screening thing that's made for solar to keep animals up getting underneath the array. And so we have services and certainly a lot of advice, and we give webinars and that kind of thing, that renewable energy. I write a column on renewable energy that goes out to all of our members every 2 weeks. It kind of keeps them informed about what's going on around the world in renewable energy in an understandable, non-technical form. So no actual discounts, no, other than, we make sure all of our members know that there's a BC Hydro rebate right now for home solar and for batteries and for businesses. So we'll send out notifications to all of our members saying, hey, heads up, this would be a good time to give it a shot if you're interested. So there's benefits, but not necessarily financial at this time.
Thank you, Don. You've spoken on a big variety of topics and given us a little peek into your co-op and the challenges too, which is really important to learn. I'm going to pass things back to Sue in a moment, but I just want to express our appreciation for the depth of your knowledge and experience and sharing it with us tonight. To some of the participants, I didn't actually ask, we've got limited time, so I didn't actually ask every question. I tried to stick to the questions that were really about the nature of the co-op, and perhaps some of your questions that are more general about how to install solar. It's something you might find on the internet, or perhaps phone a local solar company to ask their advice. So I'll pass things over to Sue now. Thank you again, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don. You've given us a ton to think about, and really appreciate you spending the evening with us. Just want to make a couple of quick announcements before we wind up. Those of you who live in Penticton, we are having our next Views and Tales Club meeting on Tuesday, October 28th at the Oasis Church from 7 till 8:30. And this month's topic is fast fashion. And we'll be watching a documentary and then having a discussion. So check out our website for more information about the club and about the topic. And I think I'll just leave it at that. We don't yet have a firm or information about our November deep dive, but if you receive our newsletter, or if you'd like to, you can sign up if you don't already, or you can look on our website to just keep up to date as to what's going on. And unless Lori or Margaret, you have other notifications of what's coming up, I think that would be a wrap.
The only thing that I would say is that on Saturday in Penticton, there's going to be salmon celebration at the very new pathway for the salmon to go from the channel to Okanagan Lake, and that's at 1:30 in Penticton by the Sycamoose this Saturday.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, and thank you
And
very much, Dawn, for sharing your information with us. It was really wonderful.
Pure
Much
pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
everybody.